Well, unlike World Cup 2002, this Ghana team is missing Michael Essien, and we do have to look at the fact that this Ghana team is having a hard time finishing. If you saw, and I'm sure you probably caught, the Ghana Germany game, I mean, they were spraying balls all over the place. So this
No,
really,
they could have dominated that game, but
right,
now also another thing in my mind is that Stephen Appiah is not 100% game shape like he was back in 2006.
right,
I thought Ghana was going to go a lot further, and perhaps they could have if they just had a little bit luckier draw. At the same point, again, another bad refereeing call, and
right.
the United States should have been there instead. So at this particular point, I think that Ghana is ripe for the picking. It's a good athletic team that has some questions in regards to touch, and as you mentioned, Asamoah John needs a number of opportunities to convert, but he does have the ability to convert. So,
Right.
I don't think that we have anything to be fearful of, but we do have to play it smart. And the one thing that's an advantage is that they tend to pack up the midfield and basically leave John up there by himself.
Right.
The one concern I have is as I mentioned with Bede Ayew, Bede Pele's son, who's out there on the wing. As this tournament has progressed, each game he seems to get a little bit more confident and a little bit more dangerous. And when you have a young player that is going through that, as we are witnessing ourselves in Josie Altidore, every single game we can see him maturing. And he might not be getting the goals, but there's no way the U.S. gets a point out of the last two games, let alone three, if it wasn't for what Josie was doing. So I'm a little bit worried about the speed and the trickiness of Ayew on the flank. But again, I think that this is a game the U.S. has a 100% chance of winning. Now, can they go out and play the smart game, avoid giving up an early goal, and or even a chance, so we don't have to worry about spilling our drinks in the first 15 minutes. But no, this is a golden opportunity that I think even the most hopeful U.S. soccer fan could not have dreamed of. We're looking at this group, we're saying we're going to finish second, and then we might have to play Germany. Like in my mind, and I hate to take up all this time, but in the pre-cup draw, when I'm looking at the bracket, I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? We almost beat Germany in 2002. We should have beat them. I think we have a good chance. Plus, this is also a pretty young Germany. I didn't feel that good after their first game, but after their second and third games, I do think that we could stack up okay with Germany.
Yep.
And then going through that, there was a chance of playing Mexico in the next round if everything played according to form. And again, if it's not in Mexico City, we own Mexico. So then all of a sudden you're looking at getting to the semifinals where, again, you might play Argentina. That still might be the case, but it's just going to be a different scenario. And before it was like we should get into the second round. Now we're looking at a scenario where it's a better than 50% chance this team could be in the semifinals. So this is, I don't want to say once in a lifetime because I hope it becomes common occurrence, but this is just an amazing turn of events.
Yeah. Well, my first thought was, don't count, and I'm sure you're not, don't count those South Koreans out because they're tricky. But my other thought was this is also a very different United States team than the 2006 team. Dempsey has a few seasons of the Premier League under his belt. Donovan is playing totally unafraid and free, maybe a little tentative in that last game up until the very end. But still, that time at Everton and maybe even Bayern Munich has seemed to transform him as a person and as a player. And this is a very different team. And I think the expectations are going to be different than they were in 2006 against Ghana. I think maybe we're not the clear favorites, but this is a better team, isn't it, Phil?
Oh, it's a 100% better team, and they're a 100% worse team. Especially taking a look, John Mensah is going to be playing a little bit nicked up, and Isak Vorsa is not even going to play. So we're looking at even a team that is as close to 100% as the one that they put out there on the 23-man roster is still not even at its strong point. So we're going to have our chances. And I agree with South Korea, but again, with Bob Bradley, he's not going to have 6 months to draw up a game plan. But if I remember correctly, listening to some of the stories about the Confederations Cup, how he brought nearly 1,700 game videos with him to basically scout, break down, and when he gets to South Africa, he sends back for like 200 more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a guy, and with computer software now, you can crunch a lot of numbers, you can crunch a lot of details and come up with something, but he also seems to have the touch of being able to put out a game plan that you go, you know what, if this works, like Bornstein put out on the left, and Abu plugging holes in the middle, and Hercules with 3 or 4 good opportunities, including one that was probably a shot, but probably should have been a goal for Dempsey. I mean, they did their job. Bradley put them in a position to succeed, and they did. And I think 100% that if you do your job the way he has drawn it up, there's every chance of the United States making it to the semifinals, and perhaps even more.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at what happened in the Confederations Cup, and obviously he got their attention after the first couple of games, and the performance against Egypt really opened people's eyes, but then the performance against Spain said, okay, well, maybe it's for real.
Yep.
And the first half against Brazil, we were the better team.
Yeah.
I mean, people always think about what happened early in the second half with Luis Fabiano and things like that, but,
Right.
I mean, that was put on a pedestal that we perhaps weren't exactly ready for and could not be prepared for. Now, it's just been a year ago, we are a little bit better prepared for that. And you take a look at the early goal against Gerard, the early goal that we gave up to Slovenia, and we were able to bounce back both times. And as we saw against Algeria, we didn't give up the early goal, and all it took was one moment of brilliance. So
Right.
I think that if we can make sure that we don't dig our holes any deeper, this team has a very, very good shot of exceeding everyone's wildest dreams.